today I have Shelby Harris, fitness professional and coach, instructor extraordinaire, nutritionist. The list goes on and on. So thank you, Shelby, so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Super excited to talk to you today.
So a lot of people that get my newsletter and follow me know that you personally have been my trainer. You run a small business, and so I wanted to take this time to just kind of really put a face with the name, but also really dig into kind of what you've done and how you've transitioned during this quarantine and COVID time.
Yeah.
So give us a brief background of your history, sports, athletic, all of that kind of stuff, and then tell us where you are today.
Yeah, sure. So I grew up playing soccer. I played soccer pretty much my whole life. I dabbled in other sports, a little bit of basketball, a little bit of volleyball, but soccer was my main sport basically from, I would say, age 10 on. So always been into being athletic and working out and every day having practice and being committed to something along those lines, right? After taking some time off from the competitive side of soccer when I got into high school, I missed it. So I ended up trying to walk on to my college team at Presbyterian College, played for a year, hated it, but still was clearly looking for something to keep me active. I think that was really more what I missed, more than like the structured practices and everything, but I missed having that activity to, the social aspect and just getting a good sweat in, all of that. So after deciding to not play soccer in college, I found a gym in the town that I was at. It was a CrossFit gym, joined that and really just fell in love with getting after it again, sweating a whole lot, working out, lifting heavy, pushing myself, in that kind of atmosphere. So that kind of got me into the fitness industry and actually transitioned me a little bit from wanting to go to vet school, possibly med school, possibly, and then decided to go completely different and went the exercise science route. So my junior year transitioned, decided to do that, started applying to grad schools for education in exercise science. I had taken one class in exercise science, but had a biology degree. So they let me in and ended up at Georgia for that. Spent a year and a half getting my master's there. And that was also when I got my personal training certification. So I was working in a gym full time as well as taking all of my grad school classes. So that got me into the fitness industry. And then it's kind of just continued from there. And now I work for Lifetime Athletic full-time as an assistant manager in our PT department, and then also have Strong Like Training, which is like my personal strength training business.
Awesome. So this is not something that, one, you don't take it lightly. It is your true profession. Mm-hmm. Two, you have an education in it. You did not just get some random online certification. No. And three, you can just tell that you're passionate about it with everything, your background, education, all of it. So I think that is amazing. So tell us, we all know that gyms have shut down during COVID-19. Yep. So tell us kind of what was a positive result of you transitioning, really focusing more on your clientele with Strong Like Shelby, going virtual. What's been kind of a great outcome of all of this?
Yeah. So, I mean, we knew it was coming, right? I mean, it was kind of a matter of when. I mean, the day that we shut down Lifetime, I remember chatting with my boss and he was like, I think it's going to be Friday. And I said, I think it's going to be sooner than that. And then it was that night. We got the email. So I was like, told you so. But we knew it was coming. So we had already been prepping. Lifetime actually was also already in the works of getting their virtual training pushed out so that people had the option to stay home if it hadn't gone full shutdown, essentially. But I had been working in the virtual space for a while. It's something I started doing in grad school, training clients virtually that I went to school with. And so it's not a new space for me. It allowed me to grow that space and spend more time there. So a lot of what I've been doing is providing online classes through stuff like this, through Zoom. I've done some FaceTime training, which has been really interesting. And honestly, I'll say being a coach in person helped me with that, because the queuing and stuff is a big piece of that.
Right.
But also just being able to provide stuff for people to do at home, and for it to still be structured while being at home, right? So not just willy-nilly like working out, but still providing some actual programming and showing people that you can progress. But also the bigger piece of it, really, other than transitioning to virtual, is transitioning a lot of people's mindsets and understanding that this is not like, something that's just happening to you. This is the entire world dealing with this.
Right.
And because of that, you've got to say, this maybe isn't the time for you to be aiming for that specific, really hard to reach goal, but this is taking care of you, making sure you've got food and water, making sure you've got shelter, making sure financially you're sound. And then, what pieces can we still be working on to keep you moving, to keep you putting good foods in your body, but still understanding that, this is the time you might eat the extra pint of ice cream and it's going to be okay. So I think I've done a lot more coaching on that side of it versus like, hey, let me get you exercising. Like, let's keep working. You've got extra time now. It hasn't been that. It's really been more of the mentally understanding that your workouts right now are going to look different than they did before. And there's nothing we can do about that. That's not a controllable. What is a controllable is that you can make sure you're taking some walks and breaks throughout the day, that you're still prioritizing drinking water, still prioritizing sleeping, because there's this huge, big stressor that we can't control.
Right.
So I've gotten to do that side of it more, and that I'm actually really enjoying, because it's more behavior modification and understanding situationally that it's not always ideal to be the fittest we're going to be. So.
Right. And that also this time that we're in is temporary. It's not forever.
Right.
So for those that don't have full workout equipment, what does a healthy exercise regimen look like right now with people that are still in quarantine and don't necessarily have kettlebells or weights or things like that readily available to them?
So the biggest piece for me first is that it doesn't necessarily have to be exercise that you're focusing on. Overall health is so many pieces. So even if you're not necessarily exercising like you were, are you taking care of those, like I said, the controllables and those other huge aspects of health? Exercise is one piece of the puzzle, and it's really not even the biggest piece to keeping you healthy long term. Now, obviously, in terms of building muscle and whatnot, you have to have the exercise, right? But making sure that you're sleeping, 7 to 9 hours a night, making sure you're drinking enough water, making sure you're getting protein in at every meal, you can do those things, right? And then we add in some exercise, even if it's not a ton, right? Aiming for at least 7,000 steps a day. I know everyone says 10K. 10K is a great goal, but honestly, the research tells us, and I think that's probably why they said 10K, because if we don't hit 10K, you're still up there, right? But 7K is really where we see heart health benefits happening up till, right? So if you can get up to 7K, you're exponentially increasing the health of your heart and your body. Once you get over 7K, it's not really a whole lot more benefit, right? So doing something like just making sure you're taking walks. And
I think that was really important. For my line of work, I'm used to working from home. If I'm out with clients, obviously I'm showing properties, so I am getting in the steps, but that was a big thing for me, was taking time and just going downstairs and coming back upstairs 2 or 3 times, or taking a loop around the living room and dining room to kind of get that activity going, so that you're not sitting in a chair for 4.5, 5.5, 7 hours straight.
And again, going back to what research tells us, is it's a lot of times it's not the activity level, it's the sedentary time that's really the most detrimental to our health. It is actually negatively impacting you to be sitting for 4 hours, without taking a break and standing up. I'm a big fan of finding like small ways to change stuff. I posted on my story like a week ago and people were laughing and were like, but that's such a good idea, that when I was heating something up in the microwave, you have to wait for a minute or a minute and a half, right? I was walking around in my living room and stuff just to get extra steps in.
Right.
It's great, right? I mean, it's an extra minute or two, or taking 5 minutes. You set an alarm every hour. You take 5 minutes, you get up and just walk a couple laps. you know, like that makes the difference. And you sitting for a long period of time, letting your muscles get some movement in. So you can make it small bouts without making it feel like I have to still be exercising all of this time. When you're adding in the extra stuff of now you're maybe taking care of your kids being at home, you're doing a lot more work from home that's taking longer because you don't have everything that you would have at work in terms of resources.
Right.
You can do small bouts. I mean, it could literally be that every time you pass through a doorway, like I have some friends that do this, they hang up their pull-up bar. Every time you pass by it, you do a pull-up, right?
Yeah.
Every time you pass through the kitchen, you got to do 10 squats, right? Like it's just a matter of, can you add in some small things? And then if you can get the exercise in, great, right? There's tons of resources online to find bodyweight exercises. And I have a lot of friends too that have been putting out good content saying, hey, maybe you can't afford to pay for somebody right now for training, right? Because we're all dealing with this, but can you use this post that says, here's how you can build an at-home workout? Yeah. Like put together some exercises, work in this rep range, work off of to make it tough. And there's tons of great information out there. If you're following the right people, I'll put that out there. That are making.
Well, and at the end of this video, we'll link all of your information, your YouTube channel, because you've got great content that's easy to absorb, easy to do. You don't have to have a full gym. So everyone that's watching, watch to the end and we'll get all of Shelby's information put up for you.
Yeah.
So speaking of mindset, and I know that that's something that is a big factor in all of us dealing with COVID-19. What's one thing that you do on a daily basis to just help you with having a positive mindset when we're in this situation?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been very open and honest and raw in a lot of my social media. And I've had some days during this that I have not felt super great, right? And I think that that's the thing that we've got to remember is that we're not vulnerable to what's happening. It's going to hit us. And you have to understand that that's okay to feel not great some days, but to keep myself positive, I'm trying to keep as many of my normal routine pieces in place as I can. Right. And that's, I mean, clearly very different. I'm used to being at Lifetime from around 10:45 till about 8:15 at night. I mean, I'm there 9 hours a day. But I'm still getting up around the same time every day. Some days I'll let myself sleep in if I need that little extra. And I think that that's a positive thing too. But I'm just trying to keep things that I know I can control in control, right? If I know I can always still get in a good breakfast, great. And then maybe at lunchtime, I'm not feeling so great. That meal is whatever, but can I control a couple of my meals? Can I always make sure I start my day drinking 8 ounces of water? Can I always spend some time with my puppy because I'm at home, right? And she's loving having all this extra time. So, it's going to look different for everybody, but if there's some aspects that you can keep the same, and that's going to mentally remind you, okay, like this is temporary and it's not affecting every single piece of my life, right? I can still get up at the same time. I can still have a good meal. I can still watch my, Grey's Anatomy on Thursday nights or whatever it is. Find those small pieces that are still the same as what your life was like before, right? And there's been so many cool things I've seen come out too to make this more, just doable for everybody. Like my friends and I have a house party date tonight. It's an app where you can like play games together virtually. So we're going to do that. There's also, I've seen that Netflix apparently has a way that you can stream all together and you add like a thing to your Chrome or whatever, and you can all watch the show at the same time so that you're at the exact same moment together and stream. So like, there's been positive things like that to come out of it. A lot of people have been kind of on the extreme sides of this, where it's either everything is, you should be super productive, or you can be lazy and understand and grieve, and that's okay. And I think you got to remember that there should be some of both, right? Have the days that you're not feeling great and you're kind of grieving the loss of a job, of time, of normalcy. And then also make sure you've got those times where you're using this time to say, hey, maybe I haven't had time to spend time with my significant other or my puppy or whatever that may be, and keep the balance of both, right? We're supposed to feel, and you need to feel, but we also need to say, I can rise above it and do that. So positive things are just keep some normalcy where I can. And then when I can't, understand that that's a positive thing for me to feel. I mean, that's huge, especially for someone who's an 8 Enneagram. I don't, you know, my feelings are supposed to be like deep down in here all the time. And every once in a while they got to come out. So got to do it.
So if there's one thing that viewers who are watching right now, if there's one thing that they can do for their overall physical health, what's one thing that you, and I know that it's huge and encompassing, and I've learned a lot just with being with you that there are so many various elements, and the higher the stress, you know, there's certain things that you can control and what you need to focus on. But if there's the one thing that you can tell people to do for their physical health right now, what would be the one thing?
You're right. That's a very difficult question. So this is what I'm going to say. The piece that is easiest for you to handle is the one you should focus on making sure is consistent. Okay. So say that the exercising is the easy piece for you, right? If you've got dumbbells or you're following a trainer online or your gym has classes online, if that's the easy part for you, consistently do the easy part, right? If the nutrition is the easy part for you, consistently do the nutrition, right? Because everybody's going to be different. Nutrition may be super hard for some people. I've never meal prepped in my life. I usually pick up all my meals and now my places aren't open, right? Or I only exercise with a trainer. I don't know what I'm doing outside of it. So it can be very different depending on who you are and where you're at in your journey. But I would say if there's a piece that you know you can always come back to that makes you happy, puts you in a good mood, do that, right? I mean, I would say for me, the exercise is the easy part, right? I will come out here and lift any day of the week and be content. Sometimes nutrition is not my favorite and I want to eat a pint of Ben & Jerry's, or to be honest, I'd rather eat a pint of Jenny's. It's $8 a pint. But I'm going to let myself do that every once in a while, knowing that like I'm still going to always do the exercise.
Right.
And then the other big piece, honestly, is sleep. Like 9 times out of 10, people are not sleeping as much as they need to. And sleep affects a ridiculous amount of things in our body if you're getting enough or if you're limiting it. And limiting it doesn't mean 2 hours of sleep. That means like 5 to 6 hours of sleep that most people run on regularly. If you've got the extra time because you don't have to drive into the office right now, prioritize your sleep. It affects over 600 genes, literally down to your genetic level, if you are getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep versus 6. Right. So prioritize sleep and then take the one thing that's easiest for you and keep doing it.
Awesome. So I have some rapid fire questions for you. So it's the first thing that comes to your mind. There's no wrong answers.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Favorite beverage?
Water. It sounds silly, but I just really love a good cold glass of water. Okay. It needs to be ice cold, but water.
Okay, water. Your number one go-to song that gets you pumped up no matter what?
X Gonna Give It To Ya by DMX.
Okay. Sure. Coke or Pepsi?
This is weird. I'm from Georgia, but my uncle works for Pepsi, so I like Pepsi.
Okay, no worries. It's fine.
People will judge me. I'm telling you. It's like, people are like, what?
What does a perfect day look like for you?
Ooh, perfect day would be get up, work out, eat breakfast at Egg Harbor Cafe. Okay. Get a big old skillet that's like around 1,000 calories with all the good stuff and a glass of chocolate milk. Then probably if I was able to somehow transition to like just sitting at the beach the rest of the day, I'd be good with that. Which I know doesn't make sense because Egg Harbor's in Atlanta, but if I could just beam myself to the beach for the rest of the day, yeah, I'd be good with that.
Okay. Dog or cat?
Dog. Come on.
Friends or Seinfeld?
Friends. Yeah.
Okay. Favorite all-time movie?
Harry Potter.
Biggest life influencer?
Ooh, biggest life influencer. I don't know if I have a singular person necessarily for that. I would say like my thought process went to like CrossFit females just because like they made it okay for me to like lift heavy and put some muscle on and it'd be cool. So they like one, but like the CrossFit female space. Yeah.
Okay. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Okay. And then last but not least, guac or queso?
Oh my God. No, I'm not choosing. Both. Definitely both.
Okay. You're not the only one that said that, so it's totally fine.
Now, if I'm like being good and stuff, like I'll get the extra guac because I'm like, good fats, let's go, you know, but I freaking love queso. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Shelby, thank you so much for being on with us today. I greatly appreciate it. From my family to yours, I hope you're staying safe and healthy, and looking forward to getting back to a normal routine.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It was super fun.
All right. Talk soon.